Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Wednesday morning. It's 9 o'clock, and here I am with Norma Talks. Well, I just have to wipe my nose first because, right as it says it's 9 o'clock and it's time to be live, my nose decided it wanted to be whatever. And that's appropriate for what I'm going to talk about today. When I sat down this morning to think about, okay, where do we want to go with our topics right now? I was like looking at a blank wall a little bit. I always have lots to say, so it's like, okay. So I go to my tarot cards and I said, what do I talk about today? And I get three symbols: strength. All of the higher arcana. If you know tarot, there's a higher arcana. Excuse me, which is the higher order, or a lower arcana, which comprises of four different suits, all telling us something. And we have strength, which is number 8, lovers, number 6, and the sun, number 19. Now, so when I began to think, I went, okay, so what this is telling me that it's time to look at basics again. Sometimes in life, we have everything running along very smoothly. We have everything figured out. We feel we've got our spiritual, philosophical selves in line. All is working appropriately. And then something happens, or something comes out of the woodwork, or some surprise arrives. And how do we handle that becomes really, really important. Because this is, we used to hate this when I was training and things, when people say, oh, it's a test. I mean, what do you mean? Why do we have tests in life? What's that all about? We don't need tests. But in a sense, how do we know that we really have the message if we don't have something to apply it against? I've recently came into some complications, and yes, this is a big test for me in some ways. But it's never the situation, it's how you handle the situation. And I'm going to show you the strength card, because when you look at the strength card, you've got a lady with a lion. And the thing here is that she's dealing, coping, and handling with the lion. But why and how is this infinity sign above the top of the head? She's connected to the source. She's connected, and she applies that to the problem. The problem has its tail between its legs. I don't know about you, but I don't really want to be manhandling a lion. But sometimes in life, these situations come up where we have to use everything that we know besides the basics of material world, but to the other world, to our lives, our philosophy, our belief, how we handle things and what we deal with it and how it works. And so, first of all, whenever a situation arises, is really to take a look at it. Do you just deal with it easy peasy, as the saying goes, or do you have to stretch a little bit? What I found in my life is never worth getting angry at or upset. Sometimes we'll get upset about things because we don't want them to happen in that way or right now or anything. But when we work with it, as the strength card depicts, and it's about what we call aspiring above, aspiring into, some people might just do it straight out, but I always imagine this energy that's all around us. And sometimes we have to aspire above to pull down our inner being, our strength, our awareness, having more insight, things like that. So the strength is really taking care of what needs to be taken care of. Deal with what needs to be dealt with. One of the things, I'm just going to show you the symbol again. There is a mountain in the background here, a blue mountain. And this comes up in the symbol we're going to look at next, actually. But it's receding. And that's because she's taking care of business. She's controlling it. She's working with it. She's doing, when I say controlling, I don't mean like with an iron fist. I mean that she's in command. To me, I work at changing the word controlling to being in command of it, meaning applying. I'm not like, going to make it go this way or that way, but rather like working with it using my knowledge and awareness. Because the second card, which has that mountain in it, was the Lovers. The Lovers is very confusing, and for me is always confusion, because you have the male, which is your conscious mind, looking through these clouds at the female, which is the subconscious mind. This is where the confusion is. When the mental stays trying to figure everything out without rising above, and as we see here, we have the archangel with its arms giving a nice benediction, and behind that the sun, which is the source. So what we've got here is really teaching us or talking to us about how we are more than our minds. And for those of you that have followed me at all, you'll know that I'm always talking about the emotion. This is an emotional planet, and we're dealing with feelings excuse me, and the decisions that we make along the way. And it has a lot to do with the separation. This is a particular symbol, I believe, the separation between the mental and the emotional. Now, when you begin to look at that this is an emotional planet, and we're here to learn about feelings, and our body's way of talking to us is through feelings, and it gives us feelings, and if we listen to them and name them, the body hears, and it actually usually complies. But if you're a little stubborn sometimes, like me, you don't always acknowledge them. And usually for me, I have a quick reaction at times. My body says, hey, you know better than this. What are you doing? So we don't want a separation between these two parts of us, our mind and our emotions. And also, we need to be able to go through the subconscious to get to the superconscious. When I first started, I used to think that, okay, I can just go straight to the superconscious, thinking we were taught three minds: conscious, subconscious, superconscious. Interesting that they taught them in that direction, because the consciousness must go through the superconscious. That's why meditations, other things that apply where you're digging deeper into your inner self. And then you go into the superconscious where you can get the information. So these clouds that are in here that create the confusion in life are dissipated, because then the information comes back in and through. And then you are connecting to the source of your being. Now, for me, that source is the energy of love. It took me a long time to learn that. It took me a long time to even accept the universal love force. I had to get my stuff out of the way, you might say. I'm not good enough, I don't deserve it, why me? All those kind of questions that often come up when we start having experiences that really add a lot. I also just happened to look at the guide box and Insight cards now. My Monday night people are used to me using these. This one says, my feelings are my friends. They are valuable feedback showing me my inner attitudes and beliefs. Beliefs are things that we often carry with us lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And very often when I sometimes think in my life, how come this happens this way? Or what has it done that? I'm lucky now because I can access all of it, and I'll go look, and all of a sudden there's the answer. In some other lifetime, I made a massive decision about something. And so it is still acted out. All I have to do is even think about certain things, and it'll activate them again. They're not lost. Nothing is ever lost in this world. But that's why I deal in transformation today, because I realized it wasn't just a matter of looking at it and understanding it. It was a matter of transforming it into love, or into something new, or something aware, of bringing in a different awareness and a different perception and a different ideal of where and what you want to go. And so this is where we mainly work, is in our daily lives. Are we aware of a greater power? Are we utilizing that greater power? I wouldn't be able to do the work I do without the awareness and the bringing through often of that energy. But I'm like everybody else. Sometimes I just trot along in life, and and then when something big comes along, I go, oops, I better go make sure I'm in good standing here. But at the same time, when we really understand how our three minds work, when we really understand what the bigger picture is about. I did a channeling on Sunday for a group of people. For those of you that don't get the newsletter, you don't find out sometimes the little things I will do. And from that came a question later, an email question from one of the participants that I really, really liked. And that was kind of to find the order of things, like who is in charge and where does everything go? And I trustingly trust that I explained that back, that it's very much like we have this wonderful big energy, but then there are other, like it's almost like then we have, I was thinking of it in terms like we have the big chairman of the board, and then he has a whole lot of people that work under him, and they have a lot of people that work under them, and it gets more and more and more as we get to the basic people that are our personal guides. I know as I worked through the years, every now and again, the guide I would be working with would take me and introduce me to somebody else who was, you might say, up on the chain. A lot of people don't understand that perception. I do get it because of how I've been taught throughout my life. But it's also a matter of how do you take what you know and utilize it. And this was the last symbol, the third symbol. Me and my number 3. This is the sun, number 19. Now there's 22 hierarchy cards, so there's 3 after this. But this is the rebirth. There is a death symbol, which is when we go through the life, where life takes us to the bare bones of who we are, where life is really not great. But we come out into this beautiful, beautiful beginning. The white horse, purity. Red flag of truth, a child. And there's some symbolism around the child as we go through on the horse. So in other words, rebirth, newness. Oh, yesterday I kept running into people that had new babies. And no kidding, I was like, can I take a look at your little baby? How old? They're just so cute. And then one was 3 days old, sleeping away. So beautiful. I was more amazed for the mother being out of the hospital in 3 days, looking spectacular. I mean, she was really comfortable. But it's the rebirth. We have rebirth. Look, wouldn't it be terrible if we had to, I'm going to use the word die here, but if we had to die from our physical being to be reborn to the next, and that happened a lot in going back past beyond Middle Ages, all those wars. People didn't have time to digest anything. They may have strong spiritual or more like religious code rather than a spiritual code. And often they just bounced around. They did a lot of lives, one after the other. Then as you become more aware, you would have a bigger time period in between. And in that between time, you would learn, so that when you came back, you would have a little more understanding of what this whole thing about life actually is. And we need to have some understanding of it. Sometimes I look around and I go, I don't know if I like what's happening. But the thing is, we need to embrace whatever is going on and incorporate it into the awareness that there is more than what appears. So the essence of today really is about knowing, no matter what the situation is, you have the ability to have the strength to handle it, to deal with it. It is only when you try to just stay in your conscious mind and figure it all out that often things get more and more crazy, more and more unaware, more and more unsure. But by aligning yourself, by allowing yourself to be aware that you have this massive amount of knowledge and energy in the subconscious to draw on, it's really big. It's a massive amount. The only thing in there is often a lot of decisions that you've made that may not be productive in your life, but that's how you get to find them, because you run across things and you'll go, oh, why am I doing that? And you can find out, and you then can transform those. And then the awareness that no matter what, that energy source is there. And as we, in the lovers, and I'll just go back to the lovers again for a minute. The sun is in the background, behind the master teacher, above the clouds, above yourself. It's there. And this big mountain, as you remember, it gets reduced in the strength card, which this is number 6. Strength is number 8. Then we get the rebirth into the new. We are reborn into a newness of growth. I just love this symbol, actually. White horse, red flag, sun, right there. Because we now know how to work with that source of love that's there. Source of energy, source of clarity, source of being. It has all in it. It embraces all. There is no separation. And therefore we can embrace life. And if we have a body, we are here on earth experiencing emotion, experiencing feeling, allowing ourselves to, actually say, sometimes screw up, mess up, but also being able to put things correctly before we make our transition into the next, whether it be another lifetime, the time in between lives, or even leaving this whole field of earth to go into new endeavors, because it can happen. We can leave. So there's a lot to grow in this earth, this physicality of the earth, and especially in these times with lots of changes going on, a lot of things happening. Some of them we don't particularly like, or we may have a resistance to. And, sometimes that affects us. It affects us physically, emotionally, mentally. But the whole thing is that growth. When we think of the sun bursting forward, knowing that no matter what, we embrace truth, because this beautiful flag here represents truth. What is your truth? What is your belief? Do you believe there's a higher power? Do you believe there's source there to support you? Do you believe that you can be connected to it? Do you believe the impossibility? I've learned to believe in miracles, so I believe I can create miracles and I can have miracles. And I would trust that I am able to do that. So it's about them applying the knowledge and the awareness and the lovingness to whatever the situation is in your life that needs to be dealt with, and then begin to proceed. And some of those are very basic things: contacting the people you need to contact, getting the information. I know when I wanted some information, what do you do nowadays? You go online and you Google it or whatever you're going to do, and you get the information and find out about it. And you then make a logical reasoning, which will affect your life to the way you want it. Sometimes I read things and I'll go, I don't know about that. And that's okay. Other times it's almost, sometimes I get a little twinge, like, listen to that, read that again, understand that a bit more. So there's a lot of things that we do. We never, ever have come to the point where there's the end of the road and this is all there is. No, the sun tells us there's new beginnings. New beginnings. Oh, yeah, there's a couple of other things that we could learn about. It is a sense when an issue comes up, deal with it. Don't feel that you have to have it all figured out in your head, because often it has an emotional component. Know that the higher power is there with you and that you connect with it and you bring an alignment into yourself, and then eventually you'll come out into the new. You can be reborn again in this lifetime many times. Believe me, I have. And it's like wonderful when you embrace a new level of understanding and a new level of awareness. Each one of us has it within us, and we can use it and be aware of it. No matter what your philosophy is, no matter what your belief is, no matter what you practice, it's your practice. It's your awareness. Sometimes it may change. Sometimes it may never change. But it's like, know that consistently you can move yourself beyond whatever is in front of you that maybe isn't likable or whatever. So it looks like we're going to go into another few weeks of looking at basics. So I am a basic person. And so I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for your shares. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for what I'm subscribing. Oh, really? Yes, subscribing is very, very important. But also, too, is letting other people know that, yeah, that you enjoyed this, that you found that it was good. And I like comments. While I'm speaking on these, I'm live. You can always make a comment, and as long as it's before I leave, the other week I had a comment, and I didn't even notice it because I was busy wrapping up, as I am now, and I went, "Oh, thank you." I got it later, but they're always appreciated. You have a great week. I'll be back on Sunday with a Sunday thought. In the meantime, enjoy life. It's there for you to enjoy and be at peace with. Thank you for watching. See you Sunday. Bye.